So funny. I can't wait till this become a thing where it's just you are halfway. Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News. My name is Emma, and I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host Marcie. And I really want to just put the video for this episode up because it's gonna be you like moving your hand.
I'm
like you know when you do in like those drama classes and you do the like the mirror exercise.
No, it's drama. Basically, for anyone who's confused, my camera for some reason has flipped
on your screen only.
On my screen only.
Because on my screen it's fine. Like your window is to that side where it always is.
Why is my window? But basically, what it's really throwing me off because every time I move, I'm moving in the opposite direction on my camera.
It's really fun, but also as well, it's our 100th episode.
Woo!
Yay! I was like considering trying to hunt down like a confetti thing, but I was like, no, then I would have to clean up that in my room.
We'll do imaginary
So all I have is one piece of orange confetti from 5 Seconds of Summer concert that I went to.
Stop it, because I've got my 5 Stars confetti that's pinned up on my it's like on my pin board.
But yeah.
What fell?
It doesn't matter.
No, it's Baby Joseph Wall. He fell off my pin board. I'm sorry, Diva. I'll rescue you at some point.
But yeah, it's our 100th episode. So if you've been listening since episode 1, or if you've been listening since episode 99, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. It's really fun that we get to do these twice a week for the most part. And we've had some pretty awesome people on the show. And I guess we would still do this even if no one was listening to it. Because for us, it's really fun because it's the time that we get to put out of our week to talk to each other about hockey. And now we just get to share our thoughts with all of you.
Yeah. It's just like yapping, but publicly.
That is the concept of a podcast, I will say.
Oh no!
Congratulations, Marcie. You've really cracked the code there.
I'm using my F-bomb. Fuck off. Sorry, I felt bad. I had to
thank you guys for listening. We're really excited to do 100 more. Hopefully.
Definitely.
And yeah, also thank you as well. We should probably thank our bosses over at Offside News. They do not like when we say that they're
virus.
Wait, the people. Yeah, I would say the people over at Offside News, but like I am one of the people. But
the gang,
the people over at the gang over at Offside News for adding us to their podcast network and having us on board, and kind of we had a platform, but like providing us with an elevated platform to share this with you guys because this is super awesome and super cool. And now we get to talk about the Leafs losing to the Dallas Stars. On that, like, now that we got all the fun, positive stuff out of the way about us going, yay, 100 episodes. Now we have to talk about the Leafs losing to the Dallas Stars. Yeah. Joseph Woll gets the start versus Jake Ottinger, which I think surprises like no one right now.
The best people.
Yeah. And I will say, apparently they got dinner before the game together. And apparently Jake Ottinger paid for it.
Oh. Matthew Nyes fuming. He punched a wall, I know it.
And then also as well as like Jake Ottinger goes on to call Joseph Woll a perfect human, which like we all know. We've all said it before.
But
thank you for putting it into the public record there, Jake, on that one.
It's official now. But
Yeah.
What a game. And I say
Yeah,
that
and
in the
like
worst way possible.
yeah, also as well some other lineup changes. Steven Lawrence is on the first line, because sure, why not?
Yay! Huge day for fourth line nation.
Yeah, it was like, and the Leafs had a good start to the game. Like they had a strong first half of the first period.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes.
First 10 minutes, I was like, oh, this
great.
is perfect. This is what we need. Okay,
The
do this for 50 more.
Yeah, the last
And
50.
then, yeah. Within the first 10 minutes of the game, though, Austin Matthews scores a goal. We'd love to see it. Steven Lawrence, like, I don't want to say, like, he was there, he did nothing, because, like, no, he did. He did what his job was, which was to go into the corners, be physical, and he did. But that goal, though, when you look at the points for it, was just Mitch Marner solely assisting Austin Matthews, which, like, you look at that and you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like, that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, it does. And then the defense on all aspects, and I'm not just saying like the Leafs defensemen, but like also like defense, like the back checking and stuff like that from the forwards, and like just everything defensively with the Toronto Maple Leafs kind of falls apart shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
And yeah, then we get into the same routine of the previous two games that we've had with Toronto, in which I'm sitting here and I think I texted you. I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, because it's the
exact same.
It's the exact same, right? Like I think I did text you at one point where I was like, this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, it's can't wait for our Thursday episode to be the same as our Monday one this week.
Yippee! But it's like it's just the exact same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But also like, no, I was gonna talk about Matt Duchene shouldn't be allowed that close into the net with the puck on his stick. But like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the highlight of my notes for this game, which I did send to you, was all caps. Dramatic reading. Stop hitting the post and fucking score. Oh my god, I'm gonna start Steve dangling it over here with multiple exclamation marks and a frowny face, which were later added. And that was my takeaway from the game. Because if we could stop hitting the post and maybe start hitting the back of the net. I don't know. Maybe that'd help.
Because like, the post, like, yes. Okay, because I was going to touch on that when we talk about the power play later. Because the Leafs' first power play of the game, they hit the post 3 separate times.
I don't know how much patience I have, but I don't think it's a lot.
Yeah. I don't know, but I was gonna say, like, there was, and this is kind of where we can combine like all aspects of the game. Where like Joseph, like, he played a very acceptable game. I know some people are gonna be like, well, he shouldn't allow that many goals on that many shots. Yeah, that's because all of the goals were like the high danger chances that Dallas was able to get off. Oh, I should have gotten to natural stat check before it. I hate was just like, I'm trying to load natural stat check at the same time, but like there was just like some aspects where it's like, okay, Matt Duchene is directly in front of the net. Are you just Matt Duchene has his like is directly in front of the net with the puck on his stick, and you're going to just leave it?
Like you're just gonna stand there and let it happen?
Yeah. And like in that first period, oh my, I'm on natural stat check right now. The Leafs, like in that entire game, the Leafs allowed 9 high danger chances, whereas the Stars only allowed 5.
Yeah.
And they were all directly right in front of the net. Oh my, I'm gonna send you this heat map that I'm looking at on Natural Stat Trick. And it's for all situations. Okay, hold on.
Oh dear.
Sending you that heat map. I've texted it to you.
Perfect.
That's from Natural Stat Trick. I just will go implore everyone to go onto Natural Stat Trick and like find the heat map for this game, because I'm looking at it and like yeah. Why is it so blue in front of the net?
That is so bad. Oh my god.
Like, what do you expect Joseph Wool to do with that? Why are you letting them get that close? Why? Why can they do that? And that's where it comes down to, like, you can look at, like, the final stats for the game and you can go, oh, well, look at, like, how many goals Joseph Wool allowed on so few shots. But, like, then you look at that.
And also, might we add, Joseph Wool is ill.
Yeah,
you're gonna let your goalie suffer.
And this isn't even just like he is sick right now, and like I know like being sick and like having to play through it is part of like being an NHLer. Like that's just something that everyone deals about.
If you have a sick teammate, don't just leave them there. Do something.
But like, yeah, just bad. And yeah, I was gonna say Joseph Wool has a head cold, and it's one of those ones where it was like his post game. I was texting during like because they were showing the post games on TSN, and I was texting you and Randy actually. I was texting the two of you while I was watching those post games. I was like, oh yeah, Joseph Wool sounds sick. Wouldn't be surprised if he is sick. Not to be a creep, but he sounds ill. And then like Joshua Cloakey the next day in his like little like game recap is like, and Joseph Wool's battling a head cold. And I was like, yeah, figured. And there's been like some like heinous stuff going around Southern Ontario. I know this because like I personally got it really bad in the fall. We've all listened to those episodes.
Oh, we know. We remember.
I got something really bad in the fall. And then like I've had like my sister, every time she comes home from school, she's like got something absolute like just like the worst chest cough I've ever heard. And she goes to Western, so like who knows what germs are brewing in that little petri dish there on that campus, but like there's something there. I've heard like walking pneumonia is going around Southern Ontario right now, which like
joy.
It's probably not what Joseph Wool has, because I doubt he'd be playing if he had pneumonia.
No.
But like, and then also as well, like, just I had a kid who got strep throat that I was coaching over Christmas break. Like a 10-year-old got strep. Like, just there's a, like, and also as well as like the flu is hitting harder. Like I have a friend who's really sick who like absolutely like got the flu, and just like she was like, yeah, no, I could not function for 3 days. She was like, I was in bed just like not being able to function for 3 days. And like she's still feeling the effect of it. We went skating on the canal yesterday and she was like, guys, hold on, I gotta take a break for a second, just because of like. So, like, I'm not saying that, like, I'm just saying that I'm not surprised there are guys who are sick right now because it's just bad. And that always happens as people always get sick, but like it sucks when you're sick and then you get thrown into this sort of situation where your team is just not playing.
Yeah. It's... Yeah. And it's like you said, it's bad when Jezebel brings the depression hoodie out.
Yeah.
When you sent that text, I was like, oh, it's bad. But
yeah. Also as well. I was just gonna say, yeah, blah 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 blah. Sorry, I was Toronto power play. It went back to the 5 forward power play tonight. Sure. All right. Didn't work.
Nope.
And like, I will say though, that first power play opportunity for Toronto, where they got a bunch of shots, they hit the post 3 times. I will say that was like the best the power play had looked without scoring a goal in quite a while. So it was hopeful, and you're like, okay, there's a really good power play that, like, even though they didn't get a goal, you hope that kind of energizes the team, and then they'll go back out there and like the next power play they'll build off of that and play better and score perhaps. And that did not happen.
Nope, it did not. It's just... I really need them to just sort it out. Or not even sort it out, just make it a bit less painful. Because it's just like...
Yeah. It all comes back to like Toronto has been struggling with the power play all year. There was that magical like 2-3 weeks when we didn't have Austin Matthews and like the power play was scoring, and that was great and that was so fun because it brought us back to like 2020 2023 where like the power play would go out and you could almost set your watch to it. Power play would go out, give them 45 seconds of the power play. So you're still on this first unit. Give them 45 seconds to get the power play, to get the cycle going, right? And then they'd score. And it was the best feeling in the world. And then Spencer Carberry got hired as a head coach for Washington. And now look at Washington. They're playing really well. And I was having this conversation actually with my radio co-host Mary the other day, actually yesterday, because I saw her yesterday. And we were talking about the Leafs power play a little bit. And this is why you should go listen to the radio show that I'm also on. Not to like cross promote my other work, but
God.
We were having this conversation about the Leafs power play in which we were kind of comparing it into the way of like, okay, looking at the Washington Capitals in a way of like, they also have like a generational goal scorer on their roster. In the way of it's Alex Ovechkin. And like the Leafs seem to do this thing, and this kind of leads into their 5-on-5 scoring as well, is where like if they have the opportunity to, they'll pass to Austin Matthews because like it may not be anyone telling them to that. It may be a totally subconscious thing where they're like, Austin Matthews is on my team. He's really good. He's better than me at scoring goals. I'm going to pass it because I can to the guy who's better at me than scoring goals, which is a fair thing. Like, I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong or like bad, or it makes the team bad, or it makes the team like they don't need Austin Matthews. I'm just saying that like that's the way that like most players would operate because hockey's a team sport. And, and the Washington Capitals have that same thing where they also have generational goal scorer in Alexander Ovechkin. And I think the difference when it comes onto the power play is that, even Alexander Ovechkin can stand with his stick up in the air at the last face-off dot and during the power play, get the puck on his stick and just take a clapper at the net and it goes in because that's his shot. Like no one has been able to stop him from doing that for 20 years.
No.
He can just sit there and it'll go in. And that's just because his shot is so good. And I'm not saying that Austin Matthews doesn't have a good shot. Austin Matthews has a ridiculous shot. It's ridiculous. But Austin Matthews also is known for not just, standing at, he is known for scoring from a multitude of places all over the ice. In the same way that Ovechkin was early in his career, but now Ovechkin is older and has lost that mobility. So I think when it comes to the power play is a little bit more structured than 5-on-5 play naturally. And so that the Leafs lose a little bit of the creativity that they're allowed to have in 5-on-5 that allows them to be really effective with Austin Matthews on the ice because he can kind of score from anywhere, really. Whereas, like, compared to Washington, that structure of the power play works for them because of what Ovechkin is so effective at doing in the way of no one's been able to stop him from doing that. And I'm sure there's someone who's way more stats minded, and maybe there's someone at Offsides. I know like a lot of them listen to the show, but like who's way more stats minded. Who's way more stats minded on this, who could do this breakdown comparison for me into like to support this by stats, because I'm sure there's stats that can do that compared to like supporting this via like my eye test, which is me watching hockey, which usually is right. Sometimes I'm a little bit off. But that's just my like opinion and my observation about the way that the Leafs power play just like isn't quite working. And it's because Austin Matthews is too good.
Yes. Can he please... I was going to say, can he please stop? But please don't stop being too good.
Yeah, no, not stop being too good, but like, I think like maybe, honestly, and I know we're halfway through the season and maybe it's a little bit late to do this, but like, have we ever just considered like totally rebuilding the power play?
You think?
I don't know. I am not, I'm not Mark Savard.
What do we know?
I'm not Mark Savard, who's in charge of the Leafs power play.
Maybe we should be in charge of the Leafs power play.
We should.
Hey, Leafs, hire us. Put us in charge of the power play. We have suggestions. But, yeah. Leafs power play, am I right?
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Leafs ended up losing 4-1 because then Dallas goes on to score four goals, 2 by Logan Stankoven. Which like I watched him in the World Juniors. I knew he was going to be good in the NHL. Not to like really okay, look, but the reason why I know so many, anyways, doesn't matter. Watch the World Juniors, you then get to know like some really niche guys. Like when Philip Tomasino was traded from Nashville to Pittsburgh, I was like, I know that guy. And everyone went, why do you know a fringe third, fourth liner from Nashville, Emma? I'm like, because he played at the World Juniors for Team Canada like 4 years ago. That's why.
Oh dear. Oh, that's a nice mug.
Thank you. It's the like the the Starbucks ones.
Oh yeah.
And it's the Toronto one.
Oh, I love it.
Because I'm from Toronto. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite mug. It's also like the perfect size too.
Yeah.
And like perfect hand field.
Like you can just like
yeah, it's the perfect size. Perfect. It's like the best mug. I love it. I don't have my parents have like a full collection at home of like all the places we've traveled and stuff like that.
I love that.
So, but I don't have space for that, so I just have one. And I'm like, when I have more space on my cupboard, I'm going to like acquire more of them.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, because I don't have like an Ottawa one. I just have a Toronto one. So.
See, I feel the same about my yellow mug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my perfect mug. I love it so much. She's in the dishwasher right now. So I'll have more tea later.
But yeah, I like, it's not, it like, and I think it's not, we shouldn't be panicking. Yes, this was like the first time the Leafs have lost 3 in regulation this season. Which, you know, considering the way that people are talking about this team, is maybe a surprising fact. Like, I was shocked that it hadn't happened earlier this year already. Like, this was the first time. And I do think, you know, maybe there is something a little bit of concern with the Toronto's lack of offense. Like, just, I think over the past 3 games, they've scored 4 goals.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 4 goals, which is like maybe not what you need. It's definitely not what you need.
Nope.
And you know, and I think they tend to, or at least in the last 3 games, noticeably when like when the other team takes the lead, Toronto takes their foot off the gas a little bit. And that's, I think, is more concerning than the lack of offense or the power play not being successful or poor defense, is like the energy, right?
Yeah.
And that's I think, and I know we're like, you hit January and it's the mid-season slog. Like this time, like after Christmas to before the All-Star / Four Nations break, Olympic break, whatever you want to call it, break, is like, you know, oftentimes when we talk about baseball, there's the dog days of summer where you hit July, you know, you hit July and it's just, you hit the slog, the middle of the season, and every game becomes, you know, a slog and things like that. And for the NHL season, you hit that in the month of January before you get to the All-Star break or Four Nations break or Olympic break, whatever you want to call it, the bye week. Okay, the bye week before you hit that, and it's slow, and it's you know, even from fans' perspective as well, just like there's not a lot going on in terms of news. You don't see players really get traded during this time. Some players, you know, maybe you'll get some re-signings, but like there's not a whole lot. And, you know, you feel a little Groundhog Day when you start talking about games. And I think we even noticed this last year as well, in terms of like what we were talking about on the podcast as well. But anyways, that's just what I have to notice on that. And maybe that's what the team is feeling right now. It's just like they're like,
like everyone and their mum's injured.
Yeah, well, yeah, like that's the thing too, is a lot of, like, this is also a time where a lot of teams have guys hurt and things like that, and you see the injury list for a lot of teams and they're like half a mile long, and it's all those things. But yeah, so next up for the Toronto though is tonight. They play tonight against the New Jersey Devils, which is fun. It's Sheldon Keefe's first game back in Toronto since getting fired. Joseph Woll projected to get the start. And in terms of other lineup changes, it all has to do with John Tavares yesterday getting hurt in practice during a power play drill. Gets caught up along the boards, and the video is out there. Mark Masters posted it. It's one of those ones where I looked at it and my knee started hurting.
Yep. You know, when you like, I sat there, I watched it, and you know when you have to just wiggle your legs and like move your knees.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that was.
Oh, I felt it.
It was not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, not great. Not great. He was placed on IR this morning, and the team announced that he will be week to week. Also not good. In the meantime, Fraser Minten has been called up, but Craig Berube has now said that Fraser Minten will not play tonight. And like some of the reason that he gave was fair, was like, oh, want him to get a practice in with the team sort of thing. And all that sort of like, want to get a practice in, it's not necessarily an emergency situation that you want to throw him in, want to get him kind of back up to speed with the team, like what he was last time he was called up. So which is fair. Like that's fair. I will say it does not instill a whole lot of confidence reading out 2C Max Domi
No. It's one of those things where you read it out and you just have to like nervously laugh, because if not, you'll just despair.
Yeah. Look, I was like throwing out options before we started recording. I was like texting, being like, well, we could get 2C Fraser Minton, we can get 2C Max Domi, we could get 2C David Kampf, 2C Connor Dewar. I was like, the secret
2C
fourth
Marcie
thing.
60 Leafs. Put me in, coach. Put me in.
I was like, all of these aren't reassuring at all. At all. But we get 2C Max Domi. So we'll see how the rest of the lineup like kind of sorts itself out there. Apparently, I have to find this one because I think Mark Masters tweeted it out. No, it's not. It wasn't him, but like, sorry, I'm just trying to find, someone tweeted out like Pacioretty. Oh yeah, Holmberg and Pacioretty are back in the lineup. Which, like, okay. Sorry. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I will say this because I wanted to talk about Max Domi in the way of like the TSN panel of the game on Tuesday was talking about like Max Domi not knowing, like not having consistent line mates. And I was about to criticize him being like, he's probably had arguably the most consistent line mates this season.
Mm.
And then here he is getting thrown up on the top line, probably with Max Pacioretty and William Nylander, I'm going to assume, which is a line that's gone out this season before. Right? Like, we've had this. Like, I don't know. I'm like sitting here like, okay, so that means Matthew Nye is back up on the top line with Matthews and Marner. The third line will probably be some iteration of Holmberg, Robertson, McMahon. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me.
No.
But and then your fourth line is Dewar, Kampf, Lawrence. Right? I think. I mean, on the other bright side, Jake McCabe is back in the lineup tonight. Thank God.
Yay!
Thank God.
There is some hope.
Yeah. He is back in the lineup. Appreciate that a lot. I will say there's been some pretty funny quips as well. Jake McCabe says, he said when asked, does he expect any rust? He said, no, it's only been a week and a half.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it's also as well. There's another quote that I would. Yeah, here we go. Now this is back to like, because Sheldon Keefe is back in Toronto, so everyone's asking him like a million questions. And after Sheldon Keefe got fired, this is via Luke Fox. After Sheldon Keefe got fired, he had a conversation with Jake McCabe and told the player every team needs a Jake McCabe. Which, like, high praise.
The way that I would like become insufferable if someone told me that, I'd be like, thank you. Tell me again.
Me.
And it's like every time the team started playing bad, I'd be like, guys, just remember. Remember who you need.
Me.
Extension talks coming up. Remember who you need.
But yeah, just well, we'll see. I will say I am excited for the game, mostly because like having Jake McCabe back in the lineup gives me some reassurance, I will say.
Yeah, I feel a lot happier with him in the lineup than without.
Yeah. Also as well today, Anthony Stollarz was skating this morning for the first time since he got hurt
Yay.
on December 12th, which is big. His expected return is like late January, early February, which fingers crossed then, because the Leafs, we've talked about the Leafs February before, that is when they do their Canadian West Coast road trip. Pray
Yeah.
for my bedtime.
Pray for my bedtime, girl. I'm not gonna sleep.
But yeah, so if they could have him, and also as well as like they play Ottawa on the 25th, and then they have 3 days off, play Minnesota at home, have 2 days off, and then are in Edmonton on the February 1st, where they then do their Canadian road trip, West Coast road trip. And then they go right into the Four Nations break. So, maybe they give Anthony Stollarz the Four Nations break and have like 20, because then you're at home the 22nd and then you're on the road for 3 games to finish off February. They play 1 game at home in the entire month of February. Love that. But so I do think that like maybe perhaps maybe we don't see Stollarz go. It depends on like when he's good to come back. If he's good to come back late January, then maybe we do see him. But if he's gonna come back, like we'll see. There's some pretty good teams in this mix here, where you've got Edmonton, Calgary, who's weirdly been good this season, Seattle and Vancouver. And then you got the Four Nations break. And then you have your bye week. So, I don't know. Who knows? We will see.
Indeed.
Because then I just switched over and looked at the month of March, and that's so many games. That is a lot of games.
How many games are we talking?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Did you realize I'm going to be in the trenches in March? I will be like...
There's like 3 back-to-backs.
3 back-to-backs and I'm in the pits of right.
3 back-to-backs, and then the last 3 games are the California road trip. Not a 10:30 start against the Sharks. Oh, do you know how much the Sens game, the Sens 10:30 game messed up my sleep schedule this season? It was ruined for a week. It ruined my sleep schedule for a week.
Yeah,
that 10:30 game.
I'm
that game was so bad too because the Sens lost and they played like crap, and the Sharks won. And I had to stay up late to watch it and then essentially sum it up to the Sens played bad.
Yeah.
10:30 Eastern. That's criminal. And I know there's going to be people who are from the West Coast who are going to be like, well, how do you time zones? And I'm like, yes, but also like the game could start at 10. Do you know how much that like 30 minutes really impacts you?
A lot. That's another 30 minutes. I could have been tucked up in bed. Snoozing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no.
No.
Ugh, that's going to be so fun. I can't wait.
But yeah, anyway, complaints about the Leaf schedule aside, I will say we can, there's some news that we can talk about in terms of like not the Leafs. The jerseys for the Stadium Series were announced today. Did you see those?
No, I've not had the chance to be on my phone a lot today. I think I very briefly saw them. Wait.
I'm a big fan of them.
I'm about to either like them or not. Do, 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 do. Wait, right. First look. Ooh, ooh, they're nice.
Also, you can't really see it, but on Columbus's, the like gray is like silver, like like the metallic, like the like how
Ooh.
like Vegas has the metallic thread in theirs. It's like
Oh.
yeah, silver.
Oh, I love them.
And then the wings on the helmet for Detroit, like they have the winged wheel on the side. I'm a big fan of them because they're and this is kind of always the way that I judge specifically outdoor jerseys is they're unique in a way as well. Like the silver is fun. I mean, I guess not necessarily like you still have to make them look like the team jerseys. And there definitely is like it's hard with like Detroit because their jersey and their logo has never changed in their entire time
Yeah.
of being in the NHL. Like, and it's also so synonymous and it's so iconic. It's like one of the best logos in sports because it's just so unique. And like, it's crazy to think about like when that logo was designed and put onto a jersey, how long ago that was. And like, it's still like very, you know what I mean? Like, and it's still kicking. And my thing with outdoor like jerseys for outdoor games is you need big and bold and like big detail. Like if you're gonna do details, they gotta be big because and it's not just for like the fans at the game because they're sitting way further away from the ice, but it's also for like the people viewing at home on the TV, like the TV viewers, because the camera angles change with outdoor games. The camera angles are wider, the players look smaller, everything on the ice is smaller, and it's harder to see like tiny details. And that was like my major criticism of like Chicago's for the Winter Classic this year was like everything was just too small. Like you took an already fairly small logo with fairly small details and you kept it but you also made it smaller. So it was near impossible to make out what was on the front of those jerseys. Whereas with St. Louis, it was big, bold St. Louis across the front, and I was a big fan of
so
that.
You can see.
You can see it. They had a little bit more fun with the colors because they went cream, which is I love when teams do that, where it's like it's the same reason why I think I love the blue Pittsburgh outdoor jerseys because I was like, you took something that has like that was a thing. Like Pittsburgh at one point did wear blue, and you took that and you really went with it, and you kind of you accept like. But I appreciate this. I love the cannon. I think that's so cool for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Very synonymous with the team. I love the silver. I love the details on the pants too. Like we don't usually see that. Hockey Town in a nice font for Detroit, and then like the big silver star for Columbus. I like that they did Detroit. I like the script because it's in the U Michigan font, which this is kind of the reason why these two teams, because you may be wondering, why is it Detroit and Columbus? Because they're playing at Ohio State University. It's a college rivalry thing. You have U Michigan and you have Columbus, which is really funny because of how many U Michigan guys are on Columbus's roster. It's really funny. There's like a lot of them. And like but I do like it. I like and I like that it's the state like for Columbus, it's the outline of the state of the Ohio where the A or the C would go. And then for Detroit, they have like the red stripe down the helmet, which is very U Michigan. And they have like the numbers on the side for Columbus, and then they have on the back, and you can't see it in the picture that I'm sure I think you're probably looking at, which is the NHL PR tweet. On the back, because there's a promo video that they put out. Doesn't really matter, but on the back they have for the nameplates for Detroit's jerseys, it's red nameplate with white letters, which makes them really stand out. I just like it how they took ties from like both of the like college, it's not really university, but like both the college teams, you know, like UMich and Ohio State, and they're kind of, it's really drumming up to this thing where they can market off of like college rivalries, which is a thing in the States, and like college football and all that, and they can use that as a marketing tool for this event. Right? It doesn't work on me because I do not watch college football. I maybe will put together a March Madness bracket, but last year I think mine went on which team nicknames would win in a fight. And that's how I decided my March Madness bracket.
I mean, mine was purely based on vibes.
No, I looked at the team nicknames for the teams, and I went, which of these two team nicknames would win in a fight? And that is how I decided my March Madness bracket.
Incredible.
So I'm saying, I really don't like, I have no reason to buy into, I also as well, Canadian, don't watch college football.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you, Sports Gal here. If we were talking about like Canadian school rivalries, oh yeah, do I have opinions? But yeah, I like them. I think they're cool. And I'm realizing we sat here and like talk. You can go Google them and look them up and like look at them as we talk about this. I'm realizing now this is a very visual segment for a very audio podcast.
Again,
we've done
it a lot recently. But
like you can look at the pictures and get what we're describing. But yeah. Also as well, something else fun I wanted to point out. Ryan McLeod got a hat trick against the Carolina Hurricanes last night.
He did.
One of which he scored like without taking a shot on. It was weird. It was like such a weird game because the Buffalo Sabres did not get a shot on net.
No. No. I woke up this morning and I saw that and I was like, you know what, shot? Why not?
Yeah. But
it was something else.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I don't know. I last night didn't watch a lot of hockey. Mostly because the only game that I could watch on like cable, which spoiler is how I watch like most of my games. And how it decides what games I'm gonna watch is which ones can I watch on cable. But for this one, so like I could watch Edmonton and Minnesota, and that one wasn't until 8:30. But last night I did watch a movie, and it was hockey related. I don't know if you've gotten TikTok clips for this one. It's called Stay the Night. It's very Canadian.
I've not watched it.
Have you seen the clips on TikTok for it, though? It's like the main guy is the guy who kind of looks like Brandon Duhaime.
Oh, wow, he does.
Did you just Google it? He does kind of look like Brandon Duhaime. It's really funny, though, because, like, it was really good. It is a movie about hockey, I will say, but, like, you don't actually see any hockey getting played. And it's a Canadian movie as well, which should surprise no one in the way I talk about Canadian music.
You haven't logged it on Letterboxd?
No, I haven't. I don't tend to log a lot of things on Letterboxd.
I'm publicly shaming you.
I will log it on Letterboxd, in which my review will consist of, this guy really looks like Brandon Duhaime.
Brilliant, I like it. Review liked.
And I enjoyed it because it was fun. I enjoy a fun rom-com. I'm guilty of that. I will say, though, movie was very Canadian in terms of the fact that very obviously took place in Toronto, and they did not make an effort. They never, like, explicitly said, but they did not make an effort to hide it. Was one of the things. The like final shot of the movie was like the two of them like standing in front of like the CN Tower in the background. I was like, okay, well, we're really if no one figured it out now, we're really putting it on the nose here with this one.
Yeah.
But it was one of those ones where I kept recognizing filming locations, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I was watching, I was like, oh, I went for brunch right around the corner from there once.
Incredible. But no.
But I, then, yeah, I also, but it was like the guy, and it also as well as like they were like somewhat, like I don't think they could say explicitly. Actually, no, there was a Leafs name drop. I was gonna say, I don't think they got the explicit rights. It was like on a like a car radio too. But I don't think they got the explicit rights to like use NHL team names, but it was very obvious that they were like trying to base it off of the NHL because they were like, oh, the guy plays for Tampa and their AHL affiliate is in Syracuse. And I was like, okay. So like he's a Lightning player then. He plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And he just got sent to the Syracuse Crunch. I was like filling in the blanks in my head. It was a very fun movie to watch, I will say. I deeply enjoyed it.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, watch it. It was
You're
like
stealing
fun.
my movie recommendation slot.
This one's hockey related.
Fine. You can have this one for now.
This one's hockey related. We're adding a new thing where I was going to call it a book club, but then...
I was just about to... I've got that in my notes. I just got from the Fourth Line Book Club.
We're going to call it a book club, but then here I am, like, the first thing we're talking about with the From the Fourth Line Book Club is a movie that was not a book first. It was very much a thing where, like, my roommate came home and I was, like, literally sitting on the edge of the couch, like, hands propped forward, and she's like, are you, like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm a movie. I'm watching a movie, and she's like, is it good? I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat. She's like, I can tell. She's like, oh, is it like, because I was explaining her the premise of it, and she's like, oh, is it like one of those ones that like was like a Wattpad book first? Right? And I was like, I don't think so. Like, I even like was like on the Wikipedia page for it too, like looking it up, and it was like it didn't say anything about it being based off of a book or anything, which those usually do. They're like, oh, it was based off of the book or whatever. But I don't know. I was like, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was, I was like, I wanted something fun to watch, because the other show that I'm watching right now is How to Get Away with Murder, and that's not exactly fun.
No, I've still not seen it.
No, but it is really bad. The fact that we're like, ooh, maybe the book that we talked about, the book that was getting made into a TV show last episode. And both of us have started reading it now, and now we're deeply invested. You finished it.
I've started the second book. I have started the sequel. I
haven't finished it yet. And I will say though is maybe we will start doing a book club segment in which when we have people on, like, and we'll do it like it won't be like a regular thing every episode because none of us read that much. Like neither of us read, like we're busy with school. But like maybe when we have a guest on, we'll ask them, hey, what's a hockey related book that you've read that you really like?
Yeah.
Fun segment. Book club.
So true. Book club.
This is us killing time because we have nothing else to talk about really. No. And there's still like, and I don't know if people really want to hear me talk about like Thomas Chabot's face getting essentially blown up by a puck against the Islanders.
Oof.
Yeah.
But, I will say I'm very excited for the Heated Rivalry TV show.
No, it was one of those things where I'm reading it, I'm like, ooh, this actually will make a good TV show.
Like, I'm kind of...
Good on Crave.
Yeah, like, I am so emotionally invested in the characters already.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very...
I couldn't put it down.
I will say, though, it is very much a book that, like, children should not be reading. No. And if you're my mother listening to this, you should not be reading this either.
Yeah, I know we said it's a book club. Do not take this recommendation. This is not a recommendation. It's like when I logged it on Goodreads.
You logged it on Goodreads?
I have a reading goal to meet. I log everything. I logged it on Goodreads, and I have to really, really hope my mum doesn't go to my Goodreads for recommendations, because she does that a lot. It's one of those... It is very much a book that is rated R, I feel like I should say. And it really tells you that really early on into it. Like,
the first chapter.
Right at the start.
But I will say it like if you're looking for a book like that, it's really well written. I will say there is just a couple minor things where I literally sent you a screenshot and I was like, already wrong. But
incorrect.
It's really well written. And I was like having fun with it in terms of like enjoying reading it. But yeah, that was that. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else for us to add, and there's not really. I mean, we never really talked about the PWHL. I don't know if you saw that. It was Toronto and New York for PWHL where it was like 1-0 game, but the goal was like scored while offside, and they don't have offside rule. Did you see that?
I've briefly, in passing, I've seen bits and bobs and like parts of the conversation, and I was like, oh dear.
It was one of those ones where I was like, oh, this is an oversight from the PWHL when it comes to their rule book, which is really strange because the PWHL we've criticized certain parts of the PWHL. One of them is just like not doing a lot of education for players on like hits and stuff. And like some of the reffing is inconsistent, things like that. But when it comes to the actual rule book, we haven't criticized the rule book in terms of like, there hasn't been a lot of oversights on their part, right? I feel like it's been a very thorough rule book that they've come up with. And it feels really strange that they like didn't think to add something where this would happen. Like they didn't make offsides a reviewable play. Whereas like in the NHL, because a situation very similar to this happened where Matt Duchene was 30 feet offside and scored a goal, and then the play was not, like you couldn't review the play, couldn't review the goal and then the NHL, it still took them 4 years, but they eventually then added it in, partially because of that. It's the second time we've talked about Matt Duchene. But like, I don't know, it was weird. That's all I have to say is like, I'm just surprised that the PWHL, and maybe perhaps now, like for next season, it's something that they'll add into the rule book. I'm just surprised because like, it doesn't even, like there isn't even something where they put it in where it gives the PWHL like a chance to get the call right in terms of like, okay, you don't have to make it like a coach's challenge, but like, it should be something where like someone from the league should be like, call it, because the NHL also has that where in certain situations, I think overtime goals is one of them where the league will look at it and the league can call it back, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a coach or like a ref or anything. Like it's the league, like someone in the situation room like is like, hey, that goal was offside, look at it, right? Where it's like there's not enough, like it's not like the NHL where sometimes they have like 10, 20 games not 20, but like they have 10, 12 games going on at once, that it's hard to do this. Whereas like the PWHL, usually it's one game going on at a time. Right? So they can do a thing where they just need like 2 people in a room with a TV and have them sit there and have a phone next to them. And if they go, hey, wait a minute, that was offside, pick up the phone or something like that, especially because it was a 1-goal game. And that was the goal. Like that was the goal. That was the only goal of the game. Right. And also as well as you have to think of, okay, well, what if this was in like a Game 7 scenario? I'm realizing also now we've never talked about John Klingberg. Maybe that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked about him on the show since the 6th episode. I went back and looked. And when was the last time we talked about John Klingberg? And it was the 6th episode in which we talked about him not playing for the rest of the season. That was the last time we talked about John Klingberg. And here we are talking about John Klingberg again because via Darren Dreger, I'm going to pull the tweet up to get the wording right. There's been a couple that he's tweeted about this recently. I do not want to go live with Darren Dreger. Via Darren Dreger, he has said, this is what he said 2 days ago. John Klingberg is closing in on resuming his NHL career. Toronto, Ottawa, and Edmonton among teams that with expressed interest. A decision is expected in the next 2 weeks. Klingberg has had hip resurfacing in 2023, which is why his season ended. No, not why his season ended, and has worked hard to get to this point. 5 to 7 teams in the mix. I And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but you could sign him for league minimum and then it's on a variable contract, whatever, if it doesn't work out. But like, I don't even like taking that risk. Like, I think it's one of those ones where like, I'm surprised Toronto is in the mix. I mean, considering how they are with how they were, like how they went around with Matt Murray, I'm not surprised. But it is one of those ones where it's like, we saw firsthand that like, even when because he did have like a couple of good games in Toronto at the start of the season last year.
Yeah.
He didn't quite work because the defensive, like, okay, whatever, his offensive output is really great. His defensive output was non-existent. Like, he was not playing defense, could not play defensively. And maybe that'll change because maybe now like he's not, his hip is better, whatever. But like, we don't need that badly in terms of like, okay, so then it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't need like two defensive pet projects in terms of having Gianni Hankampa and John Klingberg. We don't need two.
Please, no.
We don't need to be stop. Why are we rehabbing players this
Think
way?
of the children.
And I'm also thinking that like Ottawa's in the mix. I'm like, oh my god, please Ottawa, like, do not go to Ottawa. Ottawa, please, no. Steve, no, don't call. It's mostly just because like it's one of those.
You
Ottawa
can't do
doesn't
it.
need him either. Ottawa's also main complaint is, okay, yes, they're whatever 20. I think they're like 28th or something in the league, 30th in the league. They're like in the bottom 5 in the league for defensive scoring, goals by defensemen. But like, they're still scoring, and they don't need their defense to get worse right now in terms of like how good they're playing defensively, because they're playing really well defensively. And anyways, then Darren Dreger yesterday tweeted out again, refreshing the Klingberg watch as reported last night. 5 to 17 is very interested in his return. Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa in the mix. Also hearing the Dallas Stars are in the chase as well. Colorado, ? Some feel the Oilers now a primary target. Too soon to say. It's just one of those ones where it's like, even if you were to sign him to a minimum salary deal, I just don't see where he like fits in the grand scheme of everything. With a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
Because it has to, right? Like, even if it's a variable contract, that's just my opinion on it, where I like see that and I'm like, do you? And like, this is nothing against John Klingberg. I'm just saying he's a very unique player in terms of how he plays as a defenseman.
Yeah.
And not every team has room for that. And some of the teams that are like in the mix don't have room for that. I mean, he did play for Dallas at one point, so it makes sense Dallas is maybe interested again in him, but especially if they can sign him for cheap. But who knows? We'll see. Maybe we'll talk about John Klingberg again in the next couple of weeks when he makes his decision.
Or maybe it'll be another 94 episodes.
Or maybe we won't talk about him again until 94 episodes from now. Who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, it was really funny because I was like, I know we've talked about him before, but like,
when?
When? It was episode 6 titled Chicken Nuggets. It was the chicken nugget episode.
Was it chicken nuggets?
It was chicken nuggets.
Oh, what a time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that, and we were talking because it was the end of his season. But with that being said, that is all from us today. Thank you for listening. We'll be back on Monday to talk about the Leafs and New Jersey tonight, and then the Leafs and the Canucks. Leafs and Habs on Saturday. And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, you can go find the show wherever you get your podcast, or you can follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4TH, or you can go follow the lovely people over at Offside on all social media platforms at Offside News Co. Or you can go read any of the articles that get published over there at offsidenewsco.com. There was one that just went up like just a couple minutes ago about NHL teams as emo songs, if that's kind of your cup of tea. as emo and pop punk songs. Yeah, if that's kind of your cup of tea, that just went up. It
Oh,
was
I'm
written
so here for that.
was written by Jade, who is a writer for us. But yes, very fun, very exciting. So you can go check that out. Really cool. But if you missed Marcie and I between episodes, because I'm sure you would do, because I would too, you can go follow us over on Twitter at 60 for Marcie, at Pearby1 for myself. We're really funny over there. I've been holding back a bunch of amulet jokes recently because I'm trying to make them in good taste. And when John Tavares is out week to week, it's not exactly the best of times to be making amulet jokes. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back on Monday. And in the meanime, go Leafs, go.